a big part of me as a musician, I believe, is interaction, which is and collaboration, which is
Mm.
why I think I like jazz so much. Plus the fact that when you're little, you just watch shows, and
Facts.
I think like a lot of that, the stuff that I used to come in contact with, had jazz as its like basis in music, and so
Right.
I think that just transferred over. But at U of L, they really focus on that collaboration and that interaction, which I really like.
Good. Yeah.
A basis of jazz as well, because you have to basically you have to take care of the people while you're playing. You have to support each other, especially as a keyboardist, as a pianist. When we comp, that's sort of a company. When we accompany the soloist or the person that's playing the melody or a singer, we have to support them in any way we can. And I think I really like that aspect about it. I did like one, two, three, four different ensembles, which is good because I like that it enables you to be more well rounded. The more ensembles and different types of ensembles that you do.
Right.
Uh, so like jazz too, I started, and I mean I had been doing big band since high school, obviously. So like I was
Right.
kind of prepared for that,
Mm-hmm.
and the amount of material because we did some stuff with Essig, as you said earlier. Um,
Yeah.
and so I really enjoyed that, but also I wanted some other experiences. So then we went into I think I went to Brazilian ensemble next, and that was also really fun because we also got to do a lot of work with percussion,
Yeah.
and we got taught the class by some Brazilians, so that was cool because they have an exchange program at U of L,
Yeah.
or not exchange, but they apply to do their masters. So that was really cool. Got to know some really great guys,
I
amazing
bet.
players, yeah,
Dude, I bet. Uh,
composers. My gosh,
I swear, that's what I was saying earlier. I just miss being around that level of musicianship.
yep.
What's your favorite era of jazz?
I That's a hard question. I like them all for different reasons. That's a diplomatic answer.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
I guess swing.
yeah,
If I have to pick one, just because I started listening to jazz with the big band era. So like Basie was like my first exposure that I remember. Um,
yeah,
and I kind of still play like that. Like my comping is based off of the big band era jazz. I feel like,
yeah.
in a way. Um, yeah, if I have to pick, it's that, but I would rather not pick.
Yeah, I figured there's a lot of eras.
Hmm.
I personally like the kind of the Miles Davis kind of
Yeah,
cool jazz. I guess you could say the cool jazz era, but
yeah.
that's typically my favorite. But I also like the swing big band, Duke Ellington, Johnny Hodges. That's my other. And
Yep.
then bebop, of course. A lot of
Yeah. That's
that
what I'm
was
continually working on is bebop language.
for the people listening. Tell us about bebop, Daquan.
Uh, you're
Your best understanding. It's a
putting me on the spot,
style.
man.
Yeah,
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 bebop I mean, the way it's been explained to me, it's a style of jazz in which the virtuosity of the players highly increase. They base more of their lines on like eighth note or 16th note language. Whereas before it was mainly like I mean bebop is still melodic, but it's not it's a different language than like the swing era was. But the level of playing became extremely high.
Oh my god.
Some people have described it as like a gatekeeping way, but
What is that? What do you mean?
gatekeeping is in like you have to have the technical facility to play the genre. And if you don't have the technical facility, then
You
you're
can't
not.
hang. You can't hang.
Yeah, you can't hang. Yeah,
But if you can play bebop, you can probably do a lot.
yeah, yeah,
The
yeah,
people I just think about, I think about Charlie Parker and
yeah.
Dizzy Gillespie and
Dizzy Gillespie, Monk was even in that era. I mean, what was at the start of the era with those guys,
yeah,
but he ventured off,
yeah, I
But
know, yeah, I know that he
yeah,
was super. Speaking of Monk, I was gonna actually talk to you about him. I just got this biography about him, but
mhm.
Thelonious Monk, for people who don't know who that is, he's a bebop pianist, but he kind of had his own really like unique kind of like plunking style of playing, and he had a lot of like dissonant. He
Well, the thing is, he retrained himself to reimagine his sound. Like he could shred, but he wanted a different sound, so he changed his technique. His melodic ideas were a little bit different. That's what we're doing.
who were some of your early influences?
Basie, Count Basie.
Right, right.
Especially with the big band. There's Oscar Peterson,
Mm.
Bill Evans. I mean, a lot of them, they're still my influences. If we're just talking about jazz, it's those three are big ones. If you're talking about outside jazz, Alicia Keys, one of like
Ooh.
the biggest ones.
Oh yeah.
Uh, John Legend to a degree, Nora Jones.
She just
A
put
lot
out
of
an
piano
album.
players. Yeah, yeah, yep.
I haven't listened to it yet.
Yeah, I think I. How long ago was that?
I think it was like this week.
Oh, then I'm not. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was. It said it was it said it was new. I don't know how new, but I haven't
Okay,
heard it.
yeah, yeah. I'll have to check that out.
Yeah,
But yeah, a lot of piano players. Um, yeah,
Alicia Keys.
Alicia. I've got concert tickets to see her. I think it's in July, so hopefully that still happens.
Where?
It was supposed to be in Nashville, actually.
Really?
Yeah,
In
it was supposed to be last year, but obviously it got canceled.
is it at Bridgestone?
I'm not. I think it's at an amphitheater or something.
Is it Ascend?
I'm not entirely sure.
Well, that's awesome. I might have to look into that.
Yeah,
I would love to see
yeah,
her.
let's do it.
Yeah.
It's not really a I want to do this specific type of thing. It's just like whatever way I can express myself through the music, that's what's going to come out. You know.
Right.
Now I will tell you, lately I've been listening to a lot of Bruno Mars. I did not realize how good that man's music is.
Oh yeah.
Bruno Mars, Erykah Badu, some Beyonce. Who was the other person I've been listening to? Timberland. Have you listened to any Timberland?
Oh, bro.
Yeah, like
I've been on an old school kick. At least,
yeah.
I'm not saying Timberland is old school.
No,
He's
yeah, no, I got
definitely
you.
very relevant. But yeah, no,
Yeah.
I feel that
Like Michael Jackson, how they construct their music is just it's a lesson. Honestly, listening to it and trying to figure it out is a lesson in itself.
it's oh, absolutely. I mean, Michael Jackson alone was a genius, and
Yep.
but yeah, in terms of like Timbaland, I just look at him like really for his drums. I mean, he was like
Yeah.
he was like revolutionary, and
Yep.
like using his mouth to make sounds and like
You seen that
percussive noise.
masterclass?
I have not seen it, but I've seen the ad for it.
Yeah, I've got that masterclass, and you see him do it. I'm like, wow, that is. And if you listen to some of his tracks, his beatboxing is still in the track.
Oh yeah, and
Yeah.
it's and the mixing is just like phenomenal and stuff.
One of my
like,
new, well, it's not out yet. I don't know when it's dropping, but one of my new songs, I kind of took that idea of like doing the percussion first. Because a lot of times I start with the chords because I'm a pianist, you know,
Right,
or
right.
the melody. But this time I took the percussion first, and it creates a whole new vibe, man.
Oh yeah, for sure. The I totally forgot what I was gonna say. We're talking about influence.
Yep.
Timbaland. Yeah, it's just like I think it's really cool to look at modern people like that. Earlier we were talking about, past jazz musicians who are great, but with the technology advancement, the level of music and the structure and the way they structure it now, especially now in 2021, is there's some discrepancy in terms of it's just so easy now. You know what I'm saying, to make music, and that's a whole nother conversation. But
that just means we gotta raise the
exactly,
bar.
I gotta and just stay original, man. You gotta keep your music original. Also, quick, my mom asked what the name Ray Keys. Where did that come from?
So my middle name is Raymond,
Raymond.
and so I just shortened it to Ray. That's one aspect of it. The second is, Ray Charles. Oops, Ray Charles, great piano player. And so I kind of just took that influence as well, and then the keys because I play piano, and also Alicia Keys.
Okay,
So
I was wondering. I thought,
yeah.
yeah. Ooh, the collab album, Alicia and Ray Keys.
I wish.
I can already see
Blow
it.
this up so that can happen.
Yeah, exactly. That would be awesome, man. But yeah, I was curious. It's funny how you explained that how you made your name like based off your influences, because I know that like Travis Scott, his real name is like Jack or Jacques or something like that. Simpson, I think, or Webster or something. But he took his his uncle's first name, Travis, who he was like really close to, and then Kid Cudi's real name is Scott, and Kid Cudi is like his biggest influence, so hence Travis Scott. And it seems similar how you did it, but I thought about that the other day. I was like, Alicia Keys. I was like, I wonder if
it's definitely in there.
Yeah, cool, man. Well, cool. Yeah, I just wanted to. I was wondering that too. But your middle name is Ramon. That is pristine. That's a nice name, man.
You hear the world, but you can only you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I think that was something that I had to get over, and also like just like within the writing process, just taking an idea and running with it, and not giving up on an idea too quickly, if that makes sense.
Yeah, you said that's kind of how you like to write, right?
Yeah, and I honestly a lot of the time when I'm writing, like I have a spark, and then the rest of it just kind of like falls into place. But I have to know that spark is worth something before I give it up. So sometimes I'll have something. I'm like that could be cool, but I'm like it doesn't. Sometimes you have to work with it, and I initially didn't want to work with everything, but now that I'm getting more exposed to like popular music and just different genres, I'm like anything can work. You just have to know how to finesse it, I guess.
True. Anything can work. Just finesse it. That's a good point. Backtrack real quick. When you were talking about the album process, you said that the communication with how you talked to people about how you wanted to let them express themselves through your music. What do you mean by that exactly? What is that? How does that go?
So I really just gave them an idea. Like a lot of times what I would do, I didn't write down the music. I would just start programming in Logic badly, but I would start. And then once I got kind of like a basic demo, I would call someone or text them like, can you do this type of thing on this track? Or sometimes I'd just be like, hey, can you put some guitar on this? Or can you put some, drums on this? And, I trusted the people that I asked enough that it turned out how I wanted, or it turned out in a way that I think it was better than if I had just done it myself. So a lot of the times, like I just started recording, or I had drums and bass recorded for another song that isn't out yet. And I had an idea of what I wanted, but I basically just asked a great drummer, Will Breckenridge, Willie Beeman, and Jalen Lake Noel, who was, I think, Lady Bass. And I was like, can you put some drums on this? Can you put some bass on this? And I trusted them enough that they just did it and did it quickly, and it turned out really well. You all haven't heard that one yet, but hopefully soon.
Sweet. Super cool. Yeah, I like how you describe that as, reaching out to others to let them express themselves through your music, because that's part of it, really. What you just said, but it's, working with as many people as possible. Not necessarily as possible, but like working with, it's only going to help you as an artist.
Yeah. Yep. And help you grow and learn. I mean, honestly, they probably did it better than I could have explained it to them,
Sometimes you just got to,
their forte,
Yeah, exactly. You just got to let them do it.
Let them work.
And it's really cool when they do reflect exactly what you're wanting. That's definitely an amazing. Do you talk about you kind of on this route releasing some singles here in the future, correct? What's why you want to do that?
I'm still not entirely sure. I'm kind of just playing it as I go. I'm thinking I want to release them as singles rather than EPs, because it's easier to release singles because you don't have to wait, and I'm just excited as anyone else to release some music.
True.
So yeah, just to get stuff out, it's nice, and to have, I guess, a line of things. It also helps reach people more, for exposure and just for communication, and it's just a lot. It's a lot easier than waiting to release an EP. Plus, with an EP or an album, you have to have a consistent sound. But I don't always want a consistent sound over every single song, because they all have different vibes. You want to best represent the song how it should be, rather than grouping them together, if that makes sense.
Cool. And so I like what you said. You don't have to wait as long because you're not doing like a compilation. You can just put your singles out. Obviously, you want to get it mixed and mastered and stuff, but you don't have to wait as long, and it's an easier way to get your message out. And that's the route to go nowadays. People aren't really listening to albums. People obviously listen to albums, but in terms of the streaming now and the with Instagram, and it's all about, your followers and your fan base. Singles are the way to go, because it's like,
Yep.
the likelihood of somebody sitting down and listening to a whole album now, that's why you need a hit song. And it's really always been like that. If you're
Hmm.
making an album, you typically want to have a hit, at least one, so it be on the radio. But it's not even like that now. You need a hit song so you can get on TikTok or something
Yeah.
like that, and then it gets
Yep.
even bigger and gets you more followers. So
Hmm.
it's just like the single is just like definitely a way to go now, especially. But what I wanted to ask you, your take on streaming in the music industry. What's obviously it's the streaming platforms are, with anything, video, Netflix, anything like that, are the way to go. But what's your take on it musically? Do you like it? Do you?
I I like the ease of access, and of
Mm-hmm.
course I use them too. So I can't, say it's terrible and then
Yeah,
go,
yeah,
but it's terrible just because I mean the ease of access is nice, and the fact that you can reach a lot of people is really nice.
true.
Just on the artist side, the lack of pay for the artist is astounding. Um,
Compared
you know,
to if somebody just like bought
bought
your
a
single
CD,
from
yeah,
iTunes or downloaded it
uh,
like that, or bought your
yeah.
CD.
I mean,
Can you imagine
yeah,
someone buying a CD?
yep. The real today nowadays, the real money from being an artist. I mean, you could sell your music from publishing, but it doesn't come from streaming. It's like publishing, or it's merchandise, or really it's touring. Live shows is where the money is. Which I have not done a live show. I should do that at some point, but we'll see how that works out.
Definitely should do that.
Right now, I'm more comfortable just with staying behind the keyboard, or playing in other groups.
Yeah.
But that might I'll have to think about that. But yeah, the money's not in the streaming. It's like point something 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 cents for one player. So it takes a really long time. It's almost like in the industry you have to already be somewhere to make any money.
Or with a label, and if
Or
you want to establish
just
yourself
yeah, just like
before you get with a
that.
label, because
Yeah, exactly.
labels are like notorious for ruining artists, as that, but on another note, when you said that, touring is your way to make money, if you're with a label, touring is the way to make money. Russ, the rapper Russ,
Hmm.
he was talking on his Instagram live about, he was like, basically the labels are lying to you, like that. Well, not really, because that is the way if you're with a label, because they typically own your masters and
Hmm.
they're getting a lot of your money. And if you're independent like Russ is, he was like, I can just sit at home all day and make songs and put them
Hmm.
out through TuneCore, and they're streaming, and I get all of that money. And that's a
Yeah,
simple that's
exactly.
a simple concept, because
Yep.
he would make all of his money back, and he has. And so it's just like, it's a total with streaming, but more so, this is just being independent.
Hmm.
uh Being independent at first could be great, and he's made it work forever. But
Yeah,
we were
there are a bunch of different avenues to go by. It's
yeah,
not a one path fit all.
yeah, and definitely, but establishing yourself, if you do sign with a label, you want to
Hmm.
establish yourself first. So cool. Yeah, I was just curious on your take on the current industry. So you got a little tune prepared for us, buddy?
Sure, I'll play a jazz tune
Go
just
ahead,
because
whatever you want to play, man. So
that's.
yeah, so Daquan's got his, obviously you see his piano set up there, and he's just using your phone audio. You said to
This is the computer audio.
right,
Yeah,
okay, cool. And you teach lessons like that, right? So you just over the
sometimes. Yep, through
okay,
Zoom or through FaceTime.
cool, man. Well, let me get you on the. Let me switch screens here. Well, yeah, man,
Let me.
take it away.
I'm gonna look up who this song is by so I can just shout it out. But I'm gonna play Tenderly, and that was written by Walter Gross, the old jazz guy. So.
Old jazz guy, take it
Or
away.
actually, he's probably a musical guy. But anyway, Broadway.
Man, beautiful, man. Thank you. I really appreciate that. That is awesome.